Yo guys, it's Salty here. Today in this video I wanted to share with you how I paint my skateboard decks. In particular this board right here. We're going to go over the entire process start to finish. Let's get it. I ordered these boards off Amazon Prime and I think I ended up paying like $2.50 for 5, which wasn't too bad. I'm sure there's cheaper options out there though if you don't mind waiting a little longer for shipping. So the first step to my process is all about the gradient. I love doing a nice gradient for a background just because they're so subtle and simple, but they still provide enough interest and just really allow your design to pop. Getting a smooth gradient can be a little tricky at first. It's all about keeping a steady sweeping motion and building up in thin layers to avoid any drips. Next, you're going to want to go ahead and give it a layer of matte medium. Sometimes different paint and spray paint can react kind of weird together. This just helps to avoid any of that. So once we got the board all prepped, I'm just going to go ahead and sketch out my design roughly and super light. I didn't really have a solid plan or anything when it came to my design. This is how I typically work. I don't really plan things out too often. I usually just start out with a few rough ideas and build off those until I think it looks dope. I know the sketch is kind of hard to see right now, which is kind of the goal since you don't want to have to be erasing any heavy pencil lines before you start. So step 2, we're blocking in color. Nothing more satisfying than painting a nice flowy wave. On this particular piece, I'm using golden fluid acrylics. The way they glide over the surface and leave such a smooth finish without too much texture is exactly what I'm after for this piece. Absolutely juicy. So here I'm trying out a new paint by Golden called So Flat. Typical fluid acrylics usually have a bit of a sheen to them, whereas this has a completely matte finish. It actually makes for a super cool effect when you pair them both together. It's time to add that lime. A lot of the lighter colors have lower opacity, which means you're usually going to want to give them at least a couple layers. Here I'm using a round brush, which is better for smaller details, but I definitely like to use a flat brush whenever possible, just since it fills in the area quicker and it's easier to keep a crisper edge. Here I start using paint markers, and this just came down to the color options I had on hand. Posca markers would probably have to be my favorite. I've tried out a bunch of different brands and in the end I feel like these just had the best opacity and best quality. I also love working with markers just for the overall control and precise detail you can get without too much of a mess. All that being said, as with the fluid acrylics, the markers usually require at least a couple layers as well to get a solid fill. When thinking about my color placement, I try not to place two colors next to each other that might clash. Also when I can, I try to place complementary colors within close proximity to one another. Now it's the next day and I let that first layer dry overnight, and then I came back and added another layer of color to any areas that looked a little patchy. Step 3 and my favorite. Those crispy lines. For lining, I typically use a mixture of markers and brushes just to give the piece an overall nice variation of line weight. Enough of me for now. I'm going to let you guys enjoy which is, in my opinion, the most satisfying part of the entire painting process. Pretty wild how just a simple clean outline can do so much for a piece. And last but definitely not least, we're going to add the finishing details. Got my black fluid acrylic ready, and my detail brush for those fine lines. Let's go. If you guys found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'm going to try to upload once a week. Also, if you guys have any future video suggestions you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. Peace.